So let me finish my story. So her father agreed and she agreed to have him back in her life spiritually. So you're taking basically a soul from purgatory in a space that is keeping you because no one really knows why you're here, and you have to go through a process. Like, for example, this is going to resonate with a lot of people. You're standing in line at the DMV waiting to get a number. That's what it's like. And you're standing. There's no sitting. You stand and wait for the line to move. Or you're sitting in Toronto traffic and you're wondering how you make it into work. And you're in traffic for 3 hours before all of a sudden it starts moving. And you're sitting in your car waiting. And now you just when you first moved there, you're like, what the hell is this? How come it's not moving? Or those magical portals in Calgary, where the stretches of the highway, where all of a sudden traffic's moving great, and then all of a sudden this weird angle of the highway apparently slows everyone else down, and it basically almost comes to a complete fucking standstill. And then everyone wonders what is going on. Is there some kind of accident? And no, there's no accident. People just don't know how to drive and space themselves and know how to do things. Right? Yeah. Anyways, back to my story. There's more stories within stories. Isn't that fun? I think it's amazing that all of this stuff is coming out when people really need to hear it. So buckle up. You're in for the balance between stories, like a tight walker. Yeah. So the story, he is plucked from that line because she really wants the energy of her father in the place where she lives. So he came back, his energy-wise, and stayed with her. Now he lived that energy, his spirit lived with her for about a year or so. Everything was seemingly going fine. And then she reached out again and said, Emma, something's just not right. The energy now has changed. I'm like, what type of boundaries? So I remember I told you to put up boundaries for the spiritual world. You have to basically dictate what energies are in your home and what energies aren't in your home. So if you're going, say, to someone super negative, you're taking on their energy. And then that person's going to come home with you. And then it's going to be spilling out into your home environment. And then everyone is going to become, walking on eggshells because you've blown up, because the energy that you brought home is not yours. Right? Everyone has energy. Energy can be transferred. And energy can be brought into a space when someone else doesn't have proper boundaries, even if they live under the same home. Yeah. So she didn't set the hard boundaries that he wouldn't be communicating with the spirit world, telling his buddies that have passed on, or energy that has been shifted into the house by when we walk in and out of our house or home or whatever, stone house, whatever you live in, right? The energy that is inside your home it could be even your dead animals. Dead ghost animals are always around you. No wonder why some of your other animals get kind of freaked out, going, oh my God, what was that movement? And then you're seeing, I swear, I saw the little ghost of my little dog. They're there with you, so they stay there with you. But then when you, a human being, walk out the door, those energies stay in your area, in your space. They're like your protectors. So when you come back from the day, another energy actually could be bound at your door, right? The energies inside the house might be welcoming, going, oh, well, it's really boring in here. How about you just stay? All the while, the energy that was attached to you, and yes, you do actually have to worry about that. So it's also really good to be protecting yourself energetically wise. Yeah. And I'll talk about that in another time if that's really something interesting that my angels will let me know to tell you about or not. Back to the story. He let another energy in. She was unknowingly attaching other energies. Because you have to also keep up your spiritual baths, showers. Even, everyone doesn't want to say what they do. I'm like, you should, that's how you break free from, being like you're the leader. I was like, why wouldn't you want people following you to a degree where they see you as a leader? That you're stepping out of the box and out of the comfort zone to be saying, hey, this is what it means with the spiritual bath. It could literally mean having a shower. It could mean that. It could mean that you are spiritually using sage, sweetgrass, real tobacco, and you roll it into like a sage, or you make your own, right? Where you have like bay leaves, incense, and you're doing spiritually a bath to like with smoke. You may even be using smoke at that type of energy. Everyone does it differently, just to let you know, and each is unique to their own. If you're not keeping up your spiritual shield, sometimes you can get attacked, and that's what happened to her. She just kind of, life goes on. No, I'm telling a story there, buddy. I'm sorry. My cat. He's been the star enough right now. And I'm telling the story. And I know that he wants to be in it, but please, you just, it's perfect. Stand behind the scenes. You're a good boy. Yeah, you're such a good boy. Anyways, back to the story. She wasn't keeping up with her spiritual baths. And life goes on, that's what happens. And that energy came in, and it kept that other guy, her father, entertained. And then she started noticing things happening inside the house. And it's almost like, oh my God, Emma, what am I supposed to do? And like, this is what's happening. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. It's been calm for over a year with your father's energy being there. He's enjoying it. You feel his presence there. Everyone's happy. And even her daughter, Emma, her daughter is named Emma as well. She started seeing the image, because children have that gift. And she also said that Emma started seeing things other than Grandpa in the house, another different energy. I'm like, well, how did this energy get in here? And she's like, I don't know, it just showed up on this day. And she explained the day and she was open enough to understanding how, what day did you notice the changes? And you have to ask the appropriate questions so that the person collecting the information on dealing with the spirits can understand what day and when it started changing. And so you start questioning the other energy that's in there. And yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you can walk into a house and someone can what is that, Ghost Adventures, right? Everyone's like, oh, no, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, you can. You got people with special gifts that walk into a house, like a medium or a psychic, and they're walking in the house going, whoa, like this energy is just off the charts. Like, oh my God, they don't even want us being in here. They're really angry. And I'm like, right? The exact same thing, that you can communicate with the people that have died or the animals that have died in your home. And you set those boundaries. Or she just like forgot about it because he was one of the family. Until one day she let her guard down. Right? You let your guard down once. If you you give an inch and they sometimes take a mile. He wasn't content, he was bored. He was lonely, even though that his energy stayed in the house. He was lonely, right? Because he wasn't able to go anywhere else. It was pretty much a personal hell all over again, living a personal hell. It's like, well, I told you, we're out working, right? We're out working. The children, like, they come home. He enjoyed the energy of her father, enjoyed the activity in the evenings, because then, or when the kids didn't have school. But then he's like, well, I'm bored in the house. And I'm like, well, then there you go. We're both at work. We're both doing other things. The kids are in school. And then, of course, she had to start doing things with when COVID hit. Everything, was more home-based. But he missed that fact. I think it was before COVID. Or maybe it was after or during or I don't remember. It's been a long time. The stories of the energy comes and goes, but the time frame, unless I'm actually remembered, and then she's remembered as well, I'm not particularly worried on the year or the time, because time is irrelevant. It doesn't exist, really. It doesn't. And people will know what that means, and people will be like, oh, you're stupid. How do you know what time it is? And I'm like, you don't, technically. You just make up a number to think that it is. Anyways, it's a different time all over the world, right? Or is it? Right? But that's beside the point. So her father broke that boundary of not having anyone else, because that was one of the rules that she implemented when she allowed her spirits, her father's energy to be here, is that there's no opening doors back into the suicide realm. You can't communicate with the people up at the high, and you certainly can't entertain the low. But when she's like, oh shoot, that was my bad. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's your own home. You would think that once you do even a cleansing, it's like you can just do a cleansing with sage or Palo Santo or something that dispels the energy away from your space. Even incense, right? Incense that smells good to you. You can also use essential oils on yourself, or like I'm just going to show you. Right? There you go. I put the wrong cap on it. I thought it was tea tree, and it's peppermint. Right? You can use that and put it on yourself and use like a personal protection. Right? Right? It depends. Right? And just one day she forgot about doing it. Right? We all forget one thing at the house, right? Oh, I'm late. I gotta do this. I gotta get up. I'm so late, right? For work. Caught in the rat race instead of just like, you know what? I'm gonna get there when I get there, and if I get in trouble, I get in trouble. Oh well. It's a slap on the wrist, and I'll just go out and get everyone coffees and intrusive thoughts. I'm not really gonna say that because they're like, oh what? It's like, why don't you just tell your story of like when you were young? I'm like, no, I'm not telling any stories when I'm young. It's like warming up energy. Anyways, I'm off topic. My apologies, but this is how I talk. Like if I would be talking to someone, I'd be going off into a different story, and they're like, oh my god, I'm now confused. What story are we talking about? Like then I have to, it's like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, well, what are you talking about this? I'm like, oh, right. And then you go off into something else different. Now that's a conversation, isn't it? When you can branch off into many different, and then they're like, oh, how about you tell me the story about continuation of the suicide, the guy that committed suicide and the daughter that allowed his energy back into her house and life. Oh yeah, that story. That one sounds really juicy, really good. And so that story, right. That story ended with me coming in and dispelling both of them. That he is no longer a part of her life. He literally died. And when judgment comes down on an energy, may it be good or bad, the judgment will be basically the scales of the justice of your heart weighed against an ostrich feather, like the Egyptians did, yes. Something as light as air. How can your heart, because brains are full of knowledge, the more that you know, your head gets a little heavier, denser, maybe hidden compartments of the brain that hasn't been tapped into, and it fills in all the information that you hold, right? Untapped energy and resources. So where the brain gets its knowledge and fun facts from, right? From how does your brain learn? By watching and seeing things. And for doing things, it involves your heart, right? How much heart do you have on a craft like telling people stories or, creating something? This selenite tower was, a solid piece. And so someone wanted to create vibrations within each layer. So they have taken a tool and they just to a fine point, right? I'm just saying, how much heart do you have in it? Even when you have no heart, it shows, right? So when you die, your heart will be weighed and judged, and it depends on where your energy is going to go. It's like, think of the scariest, tallest fucking thing. You know how people talk about these skinwalkers and things like that being released into certain parts of the world, right? Think of that, the scariest fucking thing ever, the tallest thing with horns and sharp jacket, long fingers, with just nightmarish type of things, and it's up there with you, and your energy is watching this thing devour you, spiritually. It's really gruesome. It's not, but your energy is now, it's not emotions. There's no emotions in it, but you still retain a little bit of those human emotions till you have no more emotions, and you go and you stay there. You remember there's a movie out there, and it depicts a lot of the same energies that I pick up from people that have lived before you and before me, of how gruesome some things have been, and the energies are there, and it fluctuates for each and every person, because your own personal hell could be reliving a nightmare over and over again, like Groundhog Day, right? You wake up and you do the same things over and over again, and you predict things, and people don't believe you, and you just live the same life over and over and over again, right? And everyone can agree, it's once they see that movie Groundhog Day, right, you're like, what the fuck? Yeah, right? Be like, yeah, I lived that day over and over again. And sometimes that's a personal hell for someone, or someone likes that. Depends, right? Someone might find joy in doing things monotonously over and over again, and that's not a personal hell. A personal hell could be doing laundry for the rest of your life, and an internal life. And people are like, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. I'm like, that's all you do. You don't eat or sleep, that's all you do. You just fold clothes, or wash dishes, or something that's going to hold you there bound for the rest of your life, right? Sometimes a personal hell is what you've done to other people, and you can't release yourself from it. Like, you can't. There's no possible way that you can release yourself from doing the things that you've done badly to other people. It's like, I regret some things, and then I think everyone does. How you treat someone, or it was justified, right? And I'm not meaning killing people. No, that's not what I mean. Are you fucking psychotic people out there? That's not what I mean at all. You take someone's life, well, your judgment of when, like, you should be scared of dying. I mean, if you live a shitty fucking life and you're a piece of shit, your ancestors are watching you. The people that lived before you that said, oh, he was such a lovely young lad. It's like, you don't necessarily die and, you go. There's like different departments. It's like a department store of souls. You know that movie, it has Robin Williams in it. It was a beautiful movie. It's when his kids die and the mother can't stand it. And then one day, like, she checks herself into a ward after her husband dies, because he was a doctor, right? Trying to help someone, and he didn't see the flying car in the tunnel, and he gets squashed, and then he dies. And then she checks herself into a mental institute. And then he's trying to reach out spiritually. It's a good movie. So if I remember the title, I'll blurt it out. But if I don't, I've given you, I think, enough like detail to go on to go find it yourself and go watch it. It's quite the emotional movie, and you have to kind of like, if you like that type of movie, there's a lot of going back and forth. There's a lot of memories, and this is really like the best movie that I can guide you to watch, to understand like the spirit world. You are not always who you are when you're reincarnated, but you still have and share the same memories. So you could be an Asian person, you could be a black woman, you could be a black man, you could be, a Renaissance, where you die, right? And it's all depicted into that movie, and so is the hells, and so are the suicide realm. People that commit suicide, they take their own lives, and where do they go? They go to a purgatory, a sea of faces. Sometimes you're found, and sometimes you're left there wondering what you've done wrong. You don't have a body, it's just a face, just like the sea of fucking faces. Like I wrote a poem about the sea of faces. Right? That's like super young, way before that movie came out. Way before. Maybe just around the corner that it was just coming out. But I didn't even watch it until I'm older, right? Synchronicities like that. But anyways, back to my story. Her father and that guy's energy that wasn't allowed in their house was banished. He couldn't ever come back. And he tried. He was wondering why. It's like, you broke the rules, you broke the boundaries. You know that you're not supposed to be bringing people back from another area. You're supposed to basically kick them out. It's kind of like a job that, and it's like, even her job is like, you have to like stage. Now that you have an energy in your house, you have to protect your energy. Like, put up Apache tears on the doorways or your windowsills to keep the negative energy at bay. Have cloves around the house. Use salt. Use this, use that. Even when you wash your body, do you have, a scrub or a lotion that you put on that makes you feel protected when you put it on, right? And cleanse your body so that there's no extra attachments. So like when humans get clean, or a spiritual bath, a spiritual shower, may be water or smoke or, intention. Using Reiki on yourself is also like a spiritual bath. Using a certain kind of, like, if you're not into tarot, you're like into ruins, or you're, into different things, you can draw on yourself as well. There's some readers and things like that draw on themselves with intention. What are they putting on their hands on every day, right? Are they doing a spiritual self cleanse within themselves to protect them against people that aren't supposed to be at their energy level? So when that energy level came into the house and she asked both of them to leave, nothing happened. And so she reached out and said, Emma, this is the problem that I'm having, and it's like having to banish them. It's like, I'm sorry, he won't be able to return. I was like, you will notice once, like, bringing this person in, people are like, oh, you're so irresponsible then for that. You as the medium, it's like, was my client's wishes to bring her father closer to her so that she could ease his pain. But apparently it was too boring for him, and he encouraged that other entity to stay. So you know what? He broke that contract, that spiritual contract that you do have with a higher being. You broke that. So it's mainly, I'm sorry you broke that contract. You fucking gotta go. Go back to wherever you're at. But it's not going to be a happier time for you. Wherever you go, you're gone. You'll go, there's another movie out there called Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. And that's a really good depiction on when you die, and then all these black ghouls start coming up from the ground to come and get your soul. That is a really another good movie, right? To understand the spirituality of being a medium and being able to talk to ghosts and having ghosts in front of you and then talking to you, and you're like, what, hold on, I'm getting off topic here now, right? Because they want to come through to give you an understanding of, like, when people, if you watch these movies, so watch Ghost, oh, What Dreams May Come, that's the one with Robin Williams. People, once you watch these movies, even The Fountain, some people will not understand these movies, but if you're more of trying to understand the spiritual base of things, you'll understand these movies once you watch them. Even Groundhog Day. It's like, would you imagine your worst thing that you could, that's one of the worst things you'd ever want to do, right? In the world. What would be your hell, right? And then you're doing it every single day, like Groundhog Day, right? And isn't Groundhog Day like a Christmas movie? I think some people here in Canada say the Groundhog Day movie is like a Christmas time movie. And I'm like, really? Each day is the same? Interesting. Okay. But different perspectives and different perceptions, right? That's the same thing with what she wanted, and that I had the ability and gift to allow the spirit to come into her home, work out really well for quite some time, and then when something happened between their energies, she's like, I can't do this anymore. I want them out. I want them all gone. I want them. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm tired of this. You know, he's scaring my youngest daughter, Emma. I don't want this anymore. Bardos is itchy. It's like burning. And so it's a confirmation. And it's like, you're scaring my youngest children. You're moving stuff. You're making things go missing. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is not the type of energy that we want in our house. I was like, you're not going to drive us from a really nice place that we have here. It's like, you've got to go. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Whatever you want. You're a client. And then she's like, he's gone. And then once you're gone, the black souls from the movie The Ghost will come and get you and take you down, and you're gone. No more. Finito. Wherever you go is your own personal hell, right? But the living no longer has the attachments. And she said that, you know, once he was gone, everything went back to normal. There's no more ghosts, right? They have people come and visit, like their grandparents come and visit, right? There was other energies there. And there was basically another soul contract of like, she's really wanting this. And her grandparents are like, well, I don't know. It's like, he has to be there on his best behavior, and there has to be another contract. So if you fucking break it, you're gone. And that's pretty much it. It's like when you have a really good job and then you fuck it up somehow, and they're like, oh, I don't know if we want to keep you on. It's like, once you leave that job, it's gone. They either don't want to hire you again, or, you know, you just move on. That's the exact same thing. You tend to forget about it. So she moved on. Her children are happy. She's like, thank you. Like, I really appreciate everything that you've done, and you've healed me. You've taught me that my experience with the energy and whatnot, you know, that has healed me within myself, because you've given me help that no one else could give. It's like healing, that my father was here. It wasn't my fault. He was just in his energy, in his mind. Where was his mind when he was writing the letter? He was sick. He needed help, and he didn't reach out. So it was never her fault. It was his fault for not reaching out. His fault for not speaking up and telling people how they feel, or even writing it down. No, his letter was, it was all your fault. You left me. What? How fucking selfish of a fucking reason is that? You know, I'm sure that, 9 times out of 10, when people try to take their life, they regret it. It's like the first, not even, like, it's usually like 3 seconds. They realize, oh shit, I didn't want to die. And now either they live, and they're like people that try to commit suicide, they're actually happy that they are living, or that they're still mentally going through their shit and they wish to die. And I'm like, but why do you wish to die? What in your life that have you talked about to people? You know, do you not enjoy the work that you do anymore? Do you need to talk to someone that doesn't have a PhD and nothing? And they're sitting there just, whatever, and all you're doing is basically talking, but you're paying someone to listen to you. And I'm like, what if you did it for free? What if you just said, hey, I just need someone to talk to. This is my problem. And it's like, you're not going to, you know, it's not like me pulling out the cards and saying, well, you're going to go through this and go, oh, you're doing this. I was like, hey, that's a nice card. Random, because it's like through half the pile that I picked. Right? Cool. But what I'm saying is that, I don't know, there's so many messages coming through. Coming through. Holy crap. And they all want to talk. They all want to give their 2 cents. This is a collective energy. Like, it's everyone wants to have an opportunity to say their 2 cents before either I get tired and say, okay, I need a break, I need something to eat, I need to fuel up. Like you're zapping in, like the movie Ghost, where Whoopi Goldberg, the Whoopi Goldberg playing the character, allows the ghost, played by Patrick Swayze, to enter her body, and then she's capable and he's capable of using that body. That's the exact same thing that I have. It's more like mental, where people tap in, boom, and then they're like activating. Tell them stories about this. Tell them stories about that. It's like give them little understanding, because this is the messages that need to come out. It's like they might sound stupid. It's like they make no sense whatsoever. But these are the things that need to come out, because so many people that have died and passed on have so many messages. Like, it could be like, oh, I could be hearing a name like Melissa. I don't know Melissa. But it just could be a name. Melissa. Someone that would be listening going, oh my God, my name is Melissa. Oh, how does she know? I was like, I don't. I just hear an energy until they actually tap in. And you, the individual, go, hey, you said Melissa, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, so who am I talking to? Like, and then that energy and you can come together. That's how they communicate. It's just like that. There's like places that I've been or places that I haven't been. And even at a distance, I can hear that energy. And it's like, that's why I started offering messages to people. And I'm like, okay, well, instead of payment, instead of giving me cash, I wanted you to go get me something really nice. That's something meaningful to my spiritual gifts. And then that's a gift in itself. Either sending gifts or, now it's like money is more accepting in a form. But I'm not going to be asking you for money because I don't know you. It's like I don't ask, I attract. So you watching this video, you watching and listening to the messages are the exchange, in that your view gets my video views and will help other people, because they're like, you gotta listen to this person, she's just talking. That's really cool. But it's like making no nonsense. And it's like really long videos about stupid stuff. But then all of a sudden she goes into another story about suicide. It's like, fuck, my friend died from suicide. They were going through that. I'm like, okay, so what steps did they not check off before committing suicide? Oh, well, they had all the best doctors. I'm like, there's your first problem. You're talking to an egotistical fucking being that thinks that they're higher than you, instead of people that are at the same healing vibration and level, but even sometimes even a little higher, that are non-biased about your situation, that see your value of a person differently than someone at like, well, I went to school for 14 years to become a doctor. I'm like, so what did you learn about human compassion? right? What did you learn about people's feelings of their own vessel, of their own body, instead of just treating it as that you're working on a cadaver that has no feelings, right? Each person's brain and emotion is wired differently than someone else. And so when you're out of a high, and you're like, someone's having like a midlife, crisis, and they're all scattered brain, and they're making decisions that they have their chicken, like a chicken with his head cut off, flopping around, blood squirting everywhere, and he's like making no sense. He's all making gibberish. These analogies also help people, I'm sure, because they're like, well, I can't piece it together. What is she trying to say? Oh, yeah, can't make decisions like a chicken with its head cut off, right? You're overwhelmed, you're overstimulated, your brain is basically frying. And instead of taking it easy and understanding and going through the process, you're all flustered. And so your body now is starting to create cancers and attacking itself, right? You're not doing the self-care, self-help. And so, then what? Oh, I'm just going to take alcohol and pills and I'm going to kill myself because no one will understand what you're going through. But how do you know that? Oh, well, I talked to all the best doctors in the world. I'm like, no, you talked to scam artists that were only there for your money. Because talking with people can actually free yourself. Someone that's unbiased of your story, right? It's like if you go up to someone and just want to talk, it depends on the person that you're asking. Someone that doesn't understand English isn't going to understand your emotions on your story. And it doesn't, but you have to ask the right type of energy. Are you vibing with that energy to be open enough to talk to that person? That's why you choose a certain doctor. That's why you choose a certain lawyer. That's why you choose a certain, even if you go to a massage therapist, you go to certain people that actually make your body feel good and relax and feel like you're covered and you're safe, instead of going to someone that makes you feel high strung, or be around people that you're giving birth and you're about to have a heart attack because the person in the room is giving you such high anxiety. And then as soon as that person leaves, the nurses and doctors realize it was that person all along creating your near heart attack while pregnant, right? That's my little story there. No one can take it away from me because no one was there, right? So as soon as the stress leaves, all of them realize, oh my God, her heart, it comes down. And the stress in her life was that woman there walking out the door. And they're like, you can't come back in here now. Those doctors, those nurses now saw what was the culprit behind everything. And they're like, no, you can't come in here now. You got to stay out. Because you're going to create, a heart attack within someone because the stress levels of that relationship with that person. So there's always a base root to what creates that issue and hiccup and problem in your life. So instead of like, what kind of friend that you go to, can they be trusted? Are they gonna, or family member, can they be trusted? Or are you gonna talk about your problems and them overhearing and then spilling everything? And I'm like, well, there's nothing to spill, is there? Except your dirty laundry and skeletons in the closet. I'm okay with mine. Are you okay with yours? Right? Self-healing, self-love, peace, light, and love. I don't wish any harm on anyone. But you gotta, and you shouldn't wish it on yourself either, because what you think about, you bring it towards you. If you're thinking negativity, if you're thinking, all these people are out here to get you, you're inviting that energy to come and follow you and bring it into your energy. Or you have next door neighbors that are pieces of shit and they do weird stuff, or they do things on purpose to make you irritated, or they sit there and they stare out the window and they watch you, and you're like, God, I really wish that they would stop staring at me. That makes me so paranoid. Why are they looking at me out the window, right? It's like, geez, don't they have a life? It's like, I might live next to them, but then all of a sudden they sell their house and they're like, I'm out of here. I'm done with all this bullshit. I'm done with all the competition with on the street. And it's like, I just want to live peacefully. And they go out into the country, and then their life is more simpler, because then they're thinking, why didn't we do this sooner? Seriously, why do you put up with bullshit for so long, and then you leave, and then you're realizing, oh fuck, this is so nice. It's so nice being out here because I'm peaceful. I'm finding myself. I'm finding, I had all the stress was from over there, and then when you leave, you're like, holy crap, I'm no longer stressful, right? Totally, right? So there's a message in there for someone. So I'm a vessel for people to come down and give those little scenarios, because that helps people, right? But don't commit suicide. Don't decide, I'm going to take my life. Because, even I guess you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to be the one, though, telling you I told you so, where you're going to be sitting in the fog, waiting, standing in line at the DMV for hours on end just to get a ticket, because people are just standing there just hoping, and then you're like, okay, I got my ticket. They're like, no, you have to go sit down. No, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna be called next. And then you got a room full of other people sitting there, and all the seats are taken, and then someone goes, no, you have to, someone comes over, it's like, why are you standing here? And then people are creating a ruckus. This person's taking forever. I just want a ticket so I can sit down. This person's just standing here. Stubborn, she doesn't want to move. And then she's told, no, you actually have to go around the corner. That's where the waiting room is. And she goes around the corner and she sees every seat taken up. And she's like, oh my God, I've got all these people in front of me? And then you're sitting there going, oh my God. And then you see all these government workers, standing around, not open, sitting at their desks, looking like they're doing something, drinking their coffee, not doing anything, and they're just talking with them among each other. And then they have one or two lines open. Yes, we all know that's how the government works. And if you're working in the government and you're working really hard, like when I worked for BC Ambulance, I'm going to tell you this story. When I worked for BC Ambulance, I worked for the Fleet Services in Victoria, and at the headquarters. When they hired me at the Fleet Services, it was did the temp agency type of thing, and I got in there and I thought, this is really great. And they brought me on temporarily, and then they realized how amazing of a worker I am. And they're like, well, once your contract ended, we'll hire you on type of thing. I know that wasn't it was a loophole that they found, right? And they did. They hired me back on, and then I started, and it was a low type of receptionist thing. It was the best job ever. I've learned so much from people at BC Ambulance, the paramedics, the fleet officers, everything. It was so fascinating to be in such a setting. But then you see on the other side, where you got all the women, basically, and they're sitting at their desks doing nothing. And they have big piles, stacks of shit, excuse my language, paperwork, which I love, big, massive stacks. And then like I'm surrounded by paper and I'm like organized, no problem. And I started doing that and they got really envious. And this one lady, she came over, I forget her name. She was just roly-poly, you know, like the head boss type of lady. And she came over and said, "You're making us look bad." I'm like, "I beg your pardon? I'm just doing work. Like, you guys piled all of this work on my desk. What do you expect me to do?" And they're like, "For you not to make us look bad." Yeah. So I had all the paperwork all over my desk. And they're like, "You literally have to go page, look at it, stamp it, that slow. Because you can't make other people look bad in the government, right?" That's so stupid. Those are the people that you don't fucking want. You want someone that's like gonna get work done for you. They're like, "Oh no, you gotta slow down." I'm like, I thought about doing the police thing of like the civic clerk or whatever. And I'm like, man. But I'm like, I don't know. You know. That would be like a super cool job. It would be. And I'd be like looking at something that's like, something just doesn't make right. And then I'd come over to like whatever and then point something out. And they're like, "Huh, we didn't see that. Wow, you should be an investigator." Right? But anyways, beside that. Like basically the story is you're waiting. You go around the corner and you see a waiting room of people in front of you, so you're waiting for life to get to the Anubis standing, the jackal, you know, judging you, looking down, going, "Oh, what is your reason? Why are you here? Why did you take your life? What reason is it?" And then he gets to decide. It's not a she, it's a he. Let's just call it as it is. Each role has a specific role. And don't get me wrong, there are women out there, you know, back in like Egyptian power that were scary. Like Cleopatra. Yeah, she may have been beautiful, but maybe she was like a black widow. Maybe. Who knows? But anyways, back to my little story before I run out of too much time. And I've totally forgotten, and it happens all the time, so I might have to pause the video and take a moment. I'm gonna do that. So just hold your horses.